Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Hearthstone Class Showcase. In this series, I will be going over my speculations for future classes which Blizzard could introduce in the future Hearthstone expansions. These classes will include all new hero abilities, mechanics, and cards. With this first episode, I want to go over the class many people have already discussed in the past. That of course being the Death Knight class. I know many have already placed their personal spins on this class. I just wanted to showcase my own version of what a Death Knight class could bring in the future. With that, let's begin. Now many people believe that the best character from World of Warcraft to represent a Death Knight class would be Arthas, the Lich King. I for one disagree. I believe Hearthstone will eventually have an Icecrown solo adventure available, with the final boss of course being Arthas. That makes it unlikely for him to be a playable hero for a Death Knight class. My suggestion for the hero would definitely be Darian Mograine. He is an influential character which frees the playable Death Knights from the Lich King's control in World of Warcraft, and thus, I believe he would be a good representative for the new Death Knight class in Hearthstone. Face the might of Mograine! The Death Knight's hero ability is called Raise Ally, and costs the normal 2 mana to perform. This ability summons a 0/1 zombie minion on the field with Taunt. Think of this ability as similar to the Shaman's Summon Totem ability. Shamans have the 1 in 4 chance to get a 0/2 totem with Taunt, so with this ability, you are guaranteed a taunt, but it has 1 less health. The Death Knight class will also introduce a new mechanic called Outbreak. This mechanic allows for additional effects on cards with an Outbreak cost. Outbreak requires that a friendly minion dies on your turn before the Outbreak card is played. In a sense, it is similar to the Rogue's combo mechanic. The combo mechanic gives some cards extra benefits if it is played after another card has been played that turn. Outbreak works in a similar way, but rather, one of your friendly minions must die before you play the spell. With the hero and the hero ability fleshed out, let's move on to the class-specific creature cards of the Death Knight class. Let's start things off with Howling Banshee. Howling Banshee is a 3 mana 2/3 minion. With the Outbreak, this minion has +1 attack and Wind Fury. This card plays a similar role to Raging Worgen, with the added benefit of skipping the Enrage requirement should you meet its Outbreak cost. Next is Flesh Giant. Flesh Giant is a 6 mana cost minion with 4 attack and 5 health. Its Outbreak ability is, all other minions get -1, -1. This minion also has a Death Rattle, deal 3 damage to a random enemy character. This minion is a beast of a card if you can get it out with its Outbreak active. This card immediately impacts your opponent's board, lowering the health and attack of all their minions. Flesh Giant is similar to Fire Elemental, due to its Death Rattle and ability to pick off other minions. Moving on, we have the Horrid Geist. Horrid Geist is a 4 mana minion with 5 attack and 3 health. Its Outbreak ability is Stealth. Target minion gets -1, -1. If this card was played with its Outbreak ability active, it plays a similar role as a Stranglethorn Tiger. Its ability is to give a target minion -1, -1, which can be used to make more effective trades with your opponent that were previously unavailable. Next is the Raging Ghoul. Raging Ghoul is a 2 mana minion with 3 attack and 2 health. Its Outbreak ability is, this minion gets +1/+1. This is a pretty simple card, filling out as a standard 2 mana 3/2, but it becomes much more impactful if you have a friendly minion die before you summon it. With it gaining +1/+1, you now have a 4/3 creature for 2 mana. Not too shabby. Filling out the curve a little bit is the Putrid Rite. This minion is a 3 mana cost 3/2 minion with the Outbreak, summon a 1/1 zombie, and the Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 zombie. If you look at this minion for its vanilla value, it is actually not very impressive. It would basically be a weaker Harvest Golem. But if you play it for its Outbreak cost, you suddenly get a 5/4 worth of stats for only 3 mana. Who doesn't want more Harvest Golems? Continuing, we have the Vengeful Dead minion. The Vengeful Dead is a 2 mana 1/1 minion. With the Death Rattle, summon a copy of this minion. This card is very similar to the Echoing Ooze, replacing the battle cry for a Death Rattle. The difference is that even the copies of this minion will summon copies as they continue to die. This card would be a continuing problem for your opponent if played correctly. Next, we have the Stitched Flesh Beast. The Stitched Flesh Beast is a 5 mana 3/3 minion with the ability, whenever a minion dies, this minion gets +2/+1. It also has an Outbreak ability, deal 1 damage to all other minions you control, and they get +2 attack. This monster comes out pretty weak, but can quickly become ramped up to a huge threat if left unchecked. Think of it as a similar minion to Light Warden. Its Outbreak ability acts similarly to a Cruel Taskmaster, but for your entire board. Even if this minion's Outbreak kills a creature of yours, it still buffs it up. Seeing how many cards in this deck benefit from other cards dying, this minion will do some work. That does it for the basic minions allotted to the Death Knight class. Let's move on to the various spells players would be using, shall we? Let's start things off with the Army of the Dead. The Army of the Dead is a spell that costs 5 mana. It summons 4 1/2 zombies. The Outbreak ability is, these minions have Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 zombie. This card represents one of the Death Knight's strongest abilities, and it does not disappoint. If you play it for its vanilla ability, this spell acts sort of like a force of nature, but this card really shines with its Outbreak ability, turning this spell into a combination of Force of Nature and Soul of the Forest. That's 8/12 worth of stats for only 5 mana. Next is Blood Boil. Blood Boil is a 2 mana spell that gives each minion with a -1/-1 an additional -1/-1 placed on it. This card works well with many other cards and minions already shown in this class showcase. For the cost of only 2 mana, you could potentially wipe an opponent's board. Next, we have Blood Presence. Blood Presence is a 2 mana spell which changes your hero ability to now summon a 2/1 zombie. It also has an Outbreak ability, deal 2 damage. This spell changes the function of your hero ability, similar to the card Shadow Form for priests. It may seem slow at first, but if you play it with its Outbreak cost, it can help impede your opponent's early aggression. Moving on, we have Control Undead. Control Undead is a 7 mana spell that destroys a target minion. But if you play it for its Outbreak cost, you return that minion to play under your control. For its vanilla ability, it acts as an expensive Assassinate, but if you play it with its Outbreak ability active, it becomes a much cheaper Mind Control. Use this card correctly, and it can turn the game around in your favor. Next is Corpse Explosion. Corpse Explosion is a 1 mana spell that destroys target friendly minion. It deals damage equal to its health to target character. This iconic Death Knight spell just had to make an appearance in this class showcase. This spell can be situational, but if paired with the right minions, it can deal a surprisingly large amount of damage to any of your opponent's characters. This finally gives a good reason to run Mogashan Warden in your deck. This next spell is Death and Decay. Death and Decay is a 3 mana spell. Target minion and adjacent minions get -1/-1. Think of this spell as a Cone of Cold that trades the freezing effect for a -1 attack to the minion it's used on. It is good against aggro decks who try to face rush you early. With this spell, those annoying quick creatures become a lot less threatening. Next is Death Grip. Death Grip is a 2 mana spell. Target minion gets +2 attack, and another target minion gets -2 attack until end of turn. Its Outbreak ability is, reduce the cost of this spell by 2. This spell allows you to pick and choose effective trades with your opponent. Not only does it give one of your minions a buff similar to the Abusive Sergeant, but it also lowers the attack of one of your opponent's minions, allowing for unfavorable trades on his side. Throw in the Outbreak benefit, and it is a killer of a card. Moving on, we have the Arceus Death Charger spell. This spell costs 2 mana, and it summons a 2/1 Death Charger with charge. Its Outbreak ability is, it summons a 3/2 Death Charger with charge instead. This spell is kind of like the Druid spell, Power of the Wild. Naturally, it acts as a Bluegill warrior, nothing special, but for its Outbreak cost, it becomes a much better creature overall. Moving on, playing on the death focus of the Death Knight class, we have Deathgate. Deathgate is a 5 mana spell, which allows you to draw a card for each friendly minion that died this turn. This spell is similar to the warrior spell Battle Rage, but it requires your friendly minions to die rather than just be damaged. With as many cards that benefit from death in this class, you are likely to be drawing a lot from this spell. Next, we have Frost Presence. Frost Presence is a 2 mana spell, which changes your hero ability to now summon a 1/2 zombie with taunt, and the Outbreak ability, freeze a target minion. Just like the previously mentioned Blood Presence, this spell acts like a Shadow Form, changing the effect of your hero ability. The added benefit of the Outbreak can help you stall your opponent, so you can get out your stronger taunt minions. This is the Horn of Winter spell. Horn of Winter is a 4 mana spell. Until the end of your turn, minions you control get +1 attack. Its Outbreak ability is, they gain Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 zombie until end of turn as well. This spell acts kind of like a Dire Wolf Alpha for your entire board, but with its Outbreak ability, it turns it into another spell similar to Soul of the Forest, providing you with great trades and a presence on the board when your turn is over. Next is Icebound Fortitude. Icebound Fortitude is a 3-mana spell that gives your hero 6 armor. It also has the Outbreak ability, gain 4 attack until end of your turn. This spell is similar to Shield Block, but gains you additional armor over drawing a card. Its Outbreak ability turns this spell into something similar to the Druid spell Bite, providing armor and attack to your hero so that you can deal damage with taking minimal damage in return. Moving on, we have the iconic spell Anti-Magic Shell. Anti-Magic Shell is a 4-mana spell, which gives minions you control immunity to spells. Its Outbreak ability is draw you a card. This spell is like a mass fairy dragon effect for your entire board, minus the immunity to hero powers. It can give important minions protection from AoE spells and huge nukes. This spell will also draw you a card if played for its Outbreak cost, making it a very value spell. Next, we have Pestilence. Pestilence is a 2-mana spell, which gives target minion -1/-1. Its Outbreak ability is target minion gets -3/-3 instead. For its vanilla ability, it's pretty weak, but if played for its Outbreak ability, it suddenly becomes an improved Wrath. This spell not only deals 3 damage, but also reduces the minion's attack by 3. This means it provides value on targets with greater than 3 health, because it will also make them weaker targets to trade with in the future. Next is a cheap spell in Raise Dead. Raise Dead is a 0-mana spell, which summons a 1/1 zombie with Death Rattle. Target minion gets -1/-1. Think of this spell as a Wisp on steroids. Sure, it's only a 1/1 minion, but with its Death Rattle, it can trade with a 2 health minion, or trade with a 1 health minion and weaken another enemy minion. It's a 0-mana minion with nothing but an upside, making it a fantastic spell. Next is the unique spell, Soul Reaper. Soul Reaper is a 2-mana spell that gives your hero 2 attack until the end of your turn. Its Outbreak ability is, if your hero destroys a minion, summon it under your control at 1 health. This spell initially acts like Claw, minus the armor bonus, but allows you to steal a 2 health minion away from your opponent should your hero be the one who kills it. The minion then comes onto your side of the field, similarly to Redemption, with 1 health. Regardless of its low health stat, you steal a minion, which forces your opponent to trade or waste another spell on it. Moving on, we have Strangulate. Strangulate is a 1-mana spell that silences a target minion. Spells casted next turn by that minion's controller cost 2 more to play. This is a cheap spell which silences a minion similar to Ironbeak Owl or Silence. The real benefit of this spell comes in slowing down your opponent's following turn, reducing the options of spells that they can play against you. And lastly, we have Unholy Presence. Unholy Presence is a 2-mana spell, which changes your hero ability to now summon a 1/1 zombie with Death Rattle. Target minion gets -1/-1. Its Outbreak ability is, target minion gets -1/-1. Just as with the other 2 presence spells, it changes your hero ability like Shadow Form. Your hero ability now acts similarly to the Paladin hero ability, but these minions also debuff enemy minions when they die. The Outbreak is nothing special, but it runs with the theme of the class, providing more debuffs for your opponent's minions. So, with the last card of the Death Knight class showcase, I introduced the legendary minion, Lord Marrowgar.
Bone Storm!
Lord Marrowgar is a 6-mana, 6 attack, 6 health legendary minion with the Outbreak, deals 6 damage to all other characters. This legendary is similar to the Warlock minion Dread Infernal, but to a much greater scale. This minion will kill most things on your and your opponent's board, so be prepared for the Bone Storm. The Death Knight class is one that excels at clearing and controlling your enemy's minions while supplying you with minions who gain value through trading. Needless to say, this class is strong against creature-heavy matchups like Aggro and Zoo decks. However, it can struggle against decks which are spell-focused, or those that run huge creatures such as Handlock and Druid decks. Thank you all for watching this Hearthstone class showcase on what I believe could be the next new class, the Death Knight. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps out a lot. If you have any suggestions for a new Hearthstone class, leave them in the comments below, and I will design a class around your idea. And as always, I'll see you next time.